What did he tell police had happened?
He says he put the kids to bed, and when he wakes up, she's gone.
Camisha and Marvin had a volatile relationship.
She also said that Camisha had started seeing or talking to another man, and she was just ready to get out of this relationship.
What do you suspect went down that night?
The violence escalated that night to the point where he ended her life.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Dell. Today's Crime Exposé takes us to Omaha, Nebraska. One morning, 3 young children woke up to find their mother gone. She was never seen or heard from again. Her boyfriend searched for her, but she had vanished. And then it was discovered that the missing woman had a secret life. Police fought to find the truth hidden in the lies and bring justice to a young family. The date was April 2nd, and the mother of Camisha Hollis was unable to reach her daughter, who she talked to on the phone every morning.
Camisha had a morning routine where she would get up for work every day and call her mom. And her mom, Martha, became concerned when she didn't receive the call from Camisha that morning. And it just was unusual for her because she's such a dedicated family person, and that was their morning routine.
When Camisha's employer told Martha that her daughter hadn't shown up for work, she called the children's school to speak with her grandchildren.
She attempted to call Camisha several times for about an hour, and then she reached out to Camisha's longtime partner and father of her 3 children, Marvin Young, and she didn't receive any response from Marvin either. The kids did not show up to school that day, which then extremely alarmed Martha, and she headed immediately over to Camisha's house, approached the door, knocked loudly, and continued to knock until thankfully the oldest daughter, who's 10, answered the door.
The young girl told her grandmother that she had awoken to find her mother and her father gone. The children were upset and had no idea where their parents were. Martha immediately called Omaha police.
Police arrive on scene and they notice that everything appears to be in order, no sign of forced entry. They were concerned, and especially since the 3 children were left home alone. They also reached out to Marvin, and they were able to get a hold of him.
Marvin Young, the father of Camisha's children, he says he's been out looking for her. He says that he left the kids alone because she wasn't around and he needed to go out and search for her. Marvin says it was a pretty quiet evening the night before. Marvin says he put the kids to bed, Camisha's up watching TV, and when he wakes up, she's gone.
Camisha's live-in boyfriend and father of the children told police that their home had a security camera. He offered to show them the video.
Marvin said he could verify his story because the surveillance cameras inside the home did show some of what actually happened there. About 2 a.m., the surveillance cameras show Camisha sitting on the couch, watching TV, looking like she's texting someone.
And what happened next in the video?
A little bit later than that, a shadow comes into view, and you can see that the security camera is tilted down, and then you lose all video of that area. So at some point between her watching TV and texting on the couch, she wasn't home in the morning.
There was no real signs of forced entry. The kids were crying. Her mother was frantic, but at this point, all they had to go on was that it was a missing person situation.
Child Services interviewed the children and temporarily placed them with Camisha's mother. Investigators met with Martha and asked her about Marvin's story that Camisha left home during the night.
Martha stated that it probably wasn't highly unusual for Camisha to do that because her and Marvin often got into some arguments, and she could see that Camisha would maybe leave the house for a minute to cool down. But Martha also admitted that they had a volatile relationship.
Camisha's mother said this relationship between her and Marvin had been tumultuous at best. Marvin had been verbally abusive for many years, even controlling. They had gotten in many fights. She also said that Camisha had possibly started seeing or talking to another man, and she was just ready to get out of this relationship.
Martha didn't know the name of the man her daughter was seeing. Police needed to find him and find out what he knew. They subpoenaed Camisha Hollis's phone records, hoping it would reveal the mystery man. What did the phone records show?
They were able to determine that Camisha had been talking to Frank, and the police identified Frank, and he agreed to come in for questioning. Upon coming in, Frank appeared very upset. He was concerned about Camisha, where she was, and not being able to get a hold of herself.
He says that she was going to leave Marvin to start a relationship with him.
Investigators were concerned that something had happened to Camisha, but there was no evidence of a crime or that she was being held against her will. While police went through Camisha's phone records, they also searched for the cell phone itself. With luck, it would lead them to the missing woman, and then they got a hit. Were they able to locate her phone?
They were able to determine that her phone was actually located about 30 minutes outside of Omaha in a national wildlife preserve along the Missouri River. Omaha police were able to go to that scene and were able to locate her phone. And it appeared that the car had driven up to the riverbank.
Police found video evidence of Camisha's car being driven into the preserve and then leaving a half hour later. Whoever was behind the wheel, detectives were unable to identify them. They brought in a canine team and divers to search for Camisha.
Dog teams were called in. They were able to identify Camisha's scent, which led to the riverbank.
Did the police look for her in the river?
In the Missouri River, it's very difficult to see anything, not only because of the current that's going downstream, but also because it's very muddy. And so it's very difficult for divers or investigators to find any evidence or a body in the Missouri River.
Police were at an impasse to locate Camisha Hollis. Her mother and children said that she would never leave the family without telling them where she was going. What began as a missing persons report had turned into a disturbing mystery.
The thought is that there is some foul play. Clearly something's going on. Camisha is missing, the car's missing, we find a phone, it's down by the riverbank, and we don't know where she's at.
Police sent out an all-points bulletin for Camisha's car. If they could locate the vehicle, it might lead them to her, even if it didn't turn out to be the outcome they were all praying for.
They were able to locate Camisha's purse and identification in the trunk of the car.
Camisha's blood is the one that's found inside the vehicle.
Omaha police investigating the disappearance of Camisha Hollis were frustrated in their search for the missing woman. According to her boyfriend Marvin, she left during the night without an explanation. While police hunted for her car, detectives examined the long relationship between Camisha and Marvin Young.
Camisha was a very dedicated family person, and she was a dedicated employee, held down 2 jobs to support her family, so it was very uncharacteristic of Camisha and her behavior.
Did her mother suspect this wasn't just a missing person anymore, but something more?
Camisha's mother knew right away something was wrong, not only because she hadn't shown up to work, but because she loved her daughters so much. She worked 2 jobs to make sure that they would have a great life, and she knew that she wouldn't leave them home alone by themselves for hours, if not days.
Camisha and Marvin had been together for over a decade. Their union began as a high school romance and quickly turned serious.
They were 17. Camisha instantly fell for Marvin, took him in. He had come from a broken home, and she felt like it was her job to help care for Marvin. And after high school, they end up moving in together, and Camisha gets pregnant, and they end up having 2 lovely daughters and had what appeared to be a great family.
While police doubted parts of Marvin's story, there was no proof that he had harmed his girlfriend. Nevertheless, they had few leads to consider, and just when the investigation appeared to be on life support, they got a break. Camisha's car was found in downtown Omaha.
Video evidence from the hotel showed that the car was dumped and the man walked away from the car, leaving it in the parking lot.
Police think that Somebody must have washed the car out trying to get rid of the blood or DNA evidence that may have been inside. When they actually do search the vehicle and process it, they do find Camisha's blood is the one that's found inside the vehicle.
They were able to locate Camisha's purse and identification in the trunk of the car. Upon closer inspection of the video from the hotel, the man that was identified leaving the car there was actually Marvin Young.
Police now believed that Marvin Young was involved in Camisha Hollis's disappearance, but proving it was something else entirely.
This investigation started really to change from a missing persons investigation to a criminal investigation because of everything that's compounding for investigators. The surveillance video from inside the house, the surveillance video from the wildlife refuge, the vehicle being found at a hotel, blood inside the vehicle, as well as her belongings.
At this point, we have circumstantial evidence that has Marvin, the last person being seen with Camisha. We also have Marvin dropping the car off at the hotel. So police believe that Marvin is most likely involved in Camisha's disappearance.
Police knew Marvin hadn't been truthful and brought him in for another interview. However, without Camisha's body, there was no probable cause to arrest him. But now police had some leverage. So how did police plan on getting Marvin to tell them what he knew?
Investigators wanted to get Marvin into custody so they could continue to build their case against him for what happened to Camisha. They do that by pulling him in and charging him with neglect for leaving his children alone by themselves at their home.
Once Marvin was under arrest, police challenged his story that Camisha had left during the middle of the night. They showed Marvin the video of him dumping her car in the hotel lot. And for Marvin, it was fight or flight.
When Marvin is confronted with the video evidence, he still denies any involvement in Camisha's disappearance. He becomes angry and destroys the interrogation room at the Omaha Police Department. They placed Marvin in custody and charged him with 3 counts of child neglect and then the destruction of property of the room.
With Marvin now in jail, police re-examined the timeline of the night Camisha went missing. They pressed him to tell what occurred after the security video shut off, and Marvin wasn't talking. But Camisha's daughter had plenty to say.
So now that Marvin's in custody, the children are brought in to be interviewed to see if they know anything else about the night of Camisha's disappearance.
The 10-year-old daughter was really a big key to trying to piece together for investigators what actually happened that night. She remembers it being a scary evening. Her father was angry, being physically abusive towards them and their mother.
On the night of Camisha's disappearance, Marvin had put them to bed and had given them each cough syrup even though they weren't ill. And she felt that this was an attempt for them to go to sleep. So she spit out part of the cough syrup unbeknownst to her father.
Marvin took the eldest daughter's cell phone away. After Marvin left the girl's bedroom, she lay in bed, just listening.
Her 2 siblings fell asleep. She was able to stay awake a while longer. She could hear her father beating her mother and her mother calling out, asking him to stop and yelling, "Ouch."
The next morning, the daughter awoke from the nightmare, but it wasn't a dream.
When she woke up, she was confused because Mom and Dad and the car were all gone and did not know where or what happened until Grandma showed up.
The daughter's testimony was powerful evidence of her father's violence against her mother. But police knew a circumstantial case without a body would be tough to prove. They hoped that Camisha's phone could provide the proof they needed.
He was with her, and violence escalated that night to the point where he ended her life.
Investigators had now narrowed their focus to one suspect in the disappearance of Camisha Hollis. They believed that her longtime boyfriend, Marvin Young, had a violent confrontation with her the night she disappeared. Police examined her cell phone, hoping it might hold evidence of domestic abuse.
Closer investigation of Camisha's phone revealed pictures of bruises on her body and also emails detailing the abuse that Marvin had put Camisha through.
Police also dug deep into Marvin's phone history and his movements in the hours leading up to her death. They found the evidence they had been looking for. What did Marvin's phone show?
When Marvin's cell phone records came back to authorities, it indicated that he had left their home at about 5 in the morning, along with Camisha's cell phone.
Marvin's cell phone records place him at the wildlife preserve at the same time that Camisha's cell phone was there as well. It also proves that he was in the area with her and shows him at the hotel dumping the car.
Omaha homicide detectives now had a timeline of Camisha's last hours alive. It was solid evidence that would hold up in court against Marvin Young for murder.
It is believed that Camisha was in the process of breaking up with Marvin, and he did not like the prospect of that, especially since she was talking to other men. And I believe that the violence escalated that night to the point where he ended her life.
Police believe that Marvin killed Camisha in their home, put her body in the back of her vehicle, drove her all the way to the wildlife refuge, dumped her body in the Missouri River, and then dropped off her vehicle at the hotel in Omaha.
Marvin Young was charged with first-degree murder in the death of Camisha Hollis. The daughter's testimony filled in the details of the violence that her father unleashed on her mother the night she disappeared from their lives. But it wouldn't bring Camisha back to the 3 daughters and a mother who loved her.
It is difficult to prove a first-degree murder when there's no body present.
As Marvin Young's murder trial approached, prosecutors offered him a plea deal. Without Camisha Hollis's body, getting a conviction was risky, and putting the eldest daughter through more trauma wasn't an option. Marvin Young took the deal and pled no contest to manslaughter, child abuse, and evidence tampering. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison. What makes this case especially heartbreaking for the family is that the killer has never revealed where Camisha's body is. They are left to grieve her loss without a final resting place. And 3 daughters have lost a mother and a father. And now it's time for today's Safety Spotlight. Camisha Hollis was a loving mother and daughter who was stolen from her family way too soon when her abusive boyfriend murdered her. In cases of domestic violence or abuse, it is important to recognize that leaving an abusive relationship is not straightforward. The longer a person remains in a volatile relationship, the more challenging it becomes to leave. Abusers aim to strip their victims of their self-worth and independence, creating a controlled and broken version of the victim. Abusive tactics include eroding self-esteem and self-worth, cutting off support from friends and family, limiting independence and the ability to escape. The cycle of abuse is often reinforced by periods of remorse, where the abuser temporarily reverts back to the person the victim fell in love with, only to resume abusive behaviors later. If you are the victim of domestic violence, you're not alone. There is help. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE for guidance. I'm Nancy O'Dell. For all of us here at Crime Exposé, please join us next time and stay safe.